7:45 back here on your Wednesday morning. As we're now into 2019, you might be looking at your place, thinking you want to declutter a bit. And when it comes to your electronics, well, what do we do with them? Craig Weishart from the Electronic Products Recycling Association joining us once again. Happy New Year to you.
Same to you.
When we look at all of these items, and you went into the archives for some of these, how do we know what we can recycle that exists, all these things in our place?
You know, that's actually one of the easiest things, because in British Columbia you can recycle pretty much anything with a cord and a battery. And as you see out here, you know, the television, the fax machine you talked about earlier, the boom box, but even more obscure things, musical instruments if they've got electronics in them, toys if they have electronics in them are recyclable. Medical equipment, pretty much anything you've got around the house that has electronics in it, recyclable.
And as Francis doing the pan of all these items, Francis, we pan over to this TV, the weights have changed immensely. Take us through the process of how it works when we drop this off and how these materials are broken down and safe for the environment. Sure.
So we've got 270 locations across BC. You drop it off. It's easy to do. It's no charge to drop it off. We collect those, take them to recycling locations. That TV set there, they take the back cover off. The plastic's recyclable. That big old picture tube is glass. There's actually lead in that, so we would take that, send it up to tech in Trail, and they actually smelt the lead out of that. But there's copper in the circuit boards and the wiring, aluminum probably in the chassis, so all that stuff, for the plastics, the glass, the aluminum, metal, all recyclable. Well,
when we consider all of these factors, for those that are just throwing these items out, how dangerous is this to have these materials in the landfill and the impact?
You know, it's really, that's the primary reason not to recycle is, I talked about the lead in that picture tube, but even the newer technology, flat screens, the lighting actually comes from mercury bulbs in the back. So there's mercury in those light bulbs in the back, and we have to take those out before we recycle the rest of the television set to make sure that that doesn't end up in the environment. But yeah, you take it to the landfill, that has the chance of leaching out, which is bad for all of us.
What's changed over the years? Are a lot of people using these depots now, and are we seeing a different amount of material ending up in the landfills?
Yeah, if you go back 10 years or more before our program, a lot of this stuff did wind up in landfill. A lot of it was shipped overseas. You know, you've seen the 60 Minutes videos of the little kid smelting lead with a Bunsen burner in some foreign country. That really doesn't happen that much anymore. Most of this material, people do a good job in British Columbia. Most of this material comes back to us and actually gets recycled and put back, you know, the metals and the plastics back into the supply chain.
And you know, recycling is one factor, but also the encouragement to reuse these items. What do you suggest for people?
Absolutely. And so what I tell people is, if it works, if it's got use in it, don't bring it to us. There's lots of good options. You can sell it, you can donate it. I had an old iPad that I gave my grandson, and I mean, he just thinks he died and went to heaven. He's got an iPad. So I mean, if it's got life in it, for sure you want to reuse it. But once it's dead, bring it to us and we'll make sure that it's properly taken care of.
There's also a good point too about donating some of these items. What are some of the groups that really accept these and reuse them in a great way for communities?
You know, one of the places, particularly for businesses, that we recommend is Computers for Schools. A good organization. They've been around for years. They do good things, obviously get refurbished computers and such to schools. You know, there's a couple of sort of not-for-profits around town. The Hackery, I think, is one that, you know, you can take it in and they'll refurbish it and get it back out to people. So there are some good options for that. We sort of encourage people to make sure you do some research and make sure that they're reputable organizations, but there are some good options out there.
Well, the website is recyclemyelectronics.ca/BC to find out where the depots are. And you made this point, but I think it's good to re-emphasize it, that if we're dropping it off, there's no cost because we pay for the environmental
handling fee on the front end. Yeah, so it's free to drop off, and like I say, 270 locations around BC, lots of easy places to go to.
Nice. And some vintage stuff. This would be good for period pieces, dressing up a set or two, right? Craig, thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Listen, we'll take a break. We'll get to watch this.